Opposing every great hero is a sinister villain, a foil, someone that can go toe-to-toe with the hero, raise the stakes, and bring about a satisfying conclusion. Their characters created so that we have something to root against, an ultimate evil whose destruction helps remind us that everything might turn out okay. Sometimes, however, these characters are so awesome, cool, or funny that we find ourselves bucking the trend and backing the side of evil, hoping that these people will stomp in the face of some arrogant hero. And today, we're celebrating those characters. My name is Tim, and today on channel Frederator, we're counting down the top 10 villains to root for. Let's get started. Number 10, Jack Spicer from Shaolin Showdown. Evil boy genius and robotic savant, Jack Spicer has no qualms about being villainous. He revels in the label, but Spicer also has a definite soft side to his antics, and it's hard not to root for him. He craves approval. He doesn't have a family that cares for him, and so he seeks a surrogate family of evil idols. And that seems like the core of his motivation. He takes things that he wants so that somebody might recognize his talents. To that end, he doesn't actually seem evil, and more than once he works with the forces of good. One of the most touching moments of the show is Jack losing a showdown because he's lying about trying to be a good guy. It's hard not to hope that he succeeds, not because you want the world to fall into 10,000 years of darkness, but because everyone, even Jack, deserves to be noticed. Number 9, Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. Gaston is the classic love-to-hate villain, and for good reason. His smug confidence is, all at once, unbearable and endearing.
Why, thank you, Belle.
Every phrase that comes out of his mouth is just wonderful, and in his one moment of vulnerability, the whole town breaks into song to remind him how great he is. For as dumb as he's played up to be, he also uses a lot of words and impressive vocabulary.
How can you read this? There's no pictures.
And sure, he's not exactly progressive with his attitude. I'm not saying that Belle should go out with the guy, but his villainy is just so gosh darn charming because of how small in scope it is. Ursula wanted to rule the seas, Maleficent wanted to wipe out all good forever, Shan Yu would destroy China, Gaston is mad because a girl won't go on a date with him. It's so petty, and it's so much fun to hate his guts. Also, I do think it should be mentioned that even if he is fueled by jealousy and has a possessive attitude towards Belle, he's actually pretty brave in the final scene. He sees a magical beast and says, "I don't want all my future strapping young boys to grow up in a town next door to a beast," and he raids the whole castle. Also, the beast is making use of Stockholm Syndrome to win Belle over, so he isn't exactly a prize catch either. Number 8, the Hunts Clan from American Dragon, Jake Long. I'll admit it, this is an entry based largely on semantics, because in reality the Hunts Clan are heroes, even if the show calls them villains, and you should root for a team so obviously heroic. I've made mention of this before, but the dragons in this show cared nothing for the mortal world. They have shown no dedication to using the forces of magic to help end disease, hunger, or war. And if they won't use their powers for good, then we have to wonder if they might one day use their powers for evil. No group should have that much power and the unilateral authority to wield it. They believe their genes grant them the right to be Earth's protectors, and they don't even do a good job with it. The Hunts Clan disrupts this nepotistic, imperialistic society by seeking to eliminate all magic. It's heavy-handed, but unless you're a sorcerer yourself, they're the only chance you have. Even if you think that most dragons were on the side of the good, they are incapable of dealing with one of their own, the Dark Dragon, who made his genocidal feelings on mundane life pretty clear. In the end, Rose chose the wrong side to team up with, and she'll have plenty of time to think about it when working in the salt mines at the hands of her magical taskmasters. Number 7, Toffee from Star vs. the Forces of Evil. Toffee is a mastermind villain who usurps Ludo's authority near the end of season 1 of Star vs. the Forces of Evil. I have a soft spot for masterminds, so he already scores points with me. Gets better though. In one episode, we see Toffee and nearly every other monster react to Star and friends reenacting a war with monsters, and we see that this war was not exactly a fair fight. Toffee rallies the monsters around a common cause in their history, and it's one the audience gets to see. Ludo as a villain wanted a glittery wand. To be fair, it's a really cool and powerful wand, but still. Toffee is an antagonist, and he kidnaps, frames, and extorts to get what he wants, but he also provides a window for understanding what he wants. And it's a fair thing to want. Not only that, but he's actually honorable. When he makes demands of the heroes, he doesn't double-cross them. You have to respect villains that understand there's a difference between evil and spiteful. Number 6, the Spiral King from Gurren Lagann. The Spiral King is a bad person, but he's a bad, correct person. He keeps humanity suffering pits deep down in the earth, while his personal army of beastmen and their giant machines rule the surface above. The unstoppable Team Gurren raises an army of their own and eventually stops the Spiral King in his evil ways. And the first time through, you're happy for Team Gurren, but the Spiral King leaves our protagonist with quite the parting message. If the populations of human on the surface rises too high, all of civilization will perish. Cheery. Also, accurate? The Spiral King implemented a system that would allow humans to live without summoning humanity's greatest foes. And the anti-spiral forces, I didn't make it up, that's seriously what they're called, are so much worse than the Spiral King. It's not that he's a nice guy, but at least he's smart. The humans in charge make one meh city and think they're the bee's knees. They're idiots. Powerful idiots, but Simone sure as heck can't manage a city, let alone a planet. Number 5, the Diamond Authority from Steven Universe. Left to their own devices, the Diamond Authority would wipe out all organic life on planet Earth. Being organic life on planet Earth, I can't support that. Fortunately, the Crystal Gems have been doing a pretty good job of protecting everything for thousands of years. That said, even if they don't succeed, I do root for them somewhat. The Diamond Authority and their plans for Earth also mean bringing some of the coolest weapons and technologies to the planet, and some of that might actually be useful to humans. Sadie and Lars managed to teleport via warp pad, so surely other humans can as well. I don't want Homeworld to succeed, but I do hope they put up a good fight. They might give us some super cool tech. Number 4, Barry the Chopper from Full Metal Alchemist. Barry the Chopper is not the most sympathetic villain. The homunculi are tragic in their own way. Scar has a troubled past. Shao Tucker certainly liked science a lot, and he took Take Your Daughter to Work Day very seriously. Barry, on the other hand, is a serial killer, because he just loves killing. And when caught and arrested, his soul is bound to a suit of armor so that he can keep on doing his thing. But where the armor treatment seems to make everyone else sad and miserable, Barry just rolls with the punches. There's a few episodes that explore Al worried about the existential crisis of if he's real or not, mostly spurred on by Barry. In a moment of clarity, Al asks Barry if he's worried about his identity. No, Barry knows he's all about killing. That is his identity, and he sure does love being himself. Number 3, Red Herring from A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. The Mystery Gang has put away a lot of criminals in their tenure as detectives. They've been doing it since they were kids, depending on which of the many movies and origin stories you consider canon. In the days of A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, they managed to solve crimes as mere children. The team wasn't always quite as accurate as they are when they're older. In fact, Fred was so incompetent that he made an incorrect accusation nearly every episode. That accusation was always directed at Red Herring. And Red Herring's a jerk, but you want him to succeed because even if he's not nice, he's almost always innocent. Why don't the other members of the Scooby Gang ever tell Fred to back off this poor kid? Number 2, Wile E. Coyote from the Looney Tunes. There's no villain more determined than Wile E. Coyote. I don't have them, but I'll bet someone has taken stats as to how many inventions have failed on our poor friend. He's obviously not the best engineer and should consider a supplier other than Acme, but his devices show a lot of ingenuity. It should also be said that even if Wile E. Coyote is the villain, the Roadrunner is no prize either. I'm not about to fault it for self-preservation, but it treats the whole thing like a big game. Coyotes have to eat too, and it's laughing at him for trying to just once have a decent meal. It's frankly smug, and I'd be perfectly happy to see Coyote wipe that stupid smirk off Roadrunner's face. And finally, number 1, Ms. Finster from Recess. Before working at Frederator, I did a brief stint as a substitute teacher. I'm not going to say something absurd like, kids are terrible and the worst. I'm much more gracious than that. What I will say is that teaching is hard, and Ms. Finster was a champ for putting up with those kids. TJ's natural charisma and diplomatic attitude could easily land him a position of immense political power, but him and his friends will only survive to adulthood because Finster was on top of things. To an outsider, it might look like she doesn't care about the happiness of her charges. In truth, she cares enough to make sure they are safe and secure. She doesn't let the kids do whatever they want, but kids shouldn't make those decisions, or else what separates them from the primitive kindergartners. And in the movie Recess School's Out, when there's a much more sinister villain, she's all too ready to join the fight with TJ and the gang. There's an episode where the kids get rid of her by getting her to fall in love. Don't ask, it's weird. And the playground falls apart. Like it or not, she holds their world together. And for that, Ms. Finster, we root for you. If you like this video, you might also enjoy top 10 brutal cartoon deaths or our cartoon conspiracy on how Jafar might just be a good guy. Also, if you haven't heard, Cartoon Hangover's mobile game, Fly Cat Bug Fly, is now completely free to play, so if you haven't played it before, now would be a good time to download it. You can dress up Catbug in little cute outfits. It's great. So if you have a smartphone, go ahead, check it out, and until next time, remember, Frederator loves you.